Hi everyone, how are you? It's nice to see you again. It is almost the end of April, which means we are going to revisit the series that I've been doing this year called 12 Records 18 Years Later. If you haven't seen anything from this series yet, it is going to run all of 2026, and it's a series in which I revisit a project I did back in 2008 called 12 Records, in which I purchased one record a month. This is when I first started collecting 18 years ago. And these 12 records formed the beginnings of my now established collection. So what I do in this series is each month I sit down with that record, I put it on, and I do active listening, which means I don't go do other stuff, run, cook, get ready. Usually that's the kind of stuff I do when I put a record on. What I do here is I sit down in front of the turntable and I pay attention to the music, how it's sounding, I look through the materials, and I journal in my vinyl journal. So what I end up writing is I do one page per record that I listen to, and it's mostly a stream of consciousness involving mostly my memories of that record. So that's what I did this time as well. One thing I've said a couple of times is most of the records from that project are very tied to that time. It was a lot of things that were released in that year or right around the mid-2000s. This one is no different. So this is another soundtrack. March was a soundtrack as well. This is a movie called Once. It's an Irish movie from 2007, so I bought it the following year. I think I found it in my local record store at the time, but I can't honestly remember where I got this. And I didn't realize until journaling about this album that the record and the songs on it are completely inextricably linked with the movie. You cannot separate them, even more so than Lost in Translation, which was last month's video. And it's because the movie is about making music and about musicians. So a lot of the songs on this album were songs that were being written in the movie as part of the plot. So that's what the movie's about. It's about two musicians who have day jobs who meet in a town square in Dublin, and they write music together, and they have this beautiful friendship. The characters are named Guy and Girl. Guy is played by Glenn Hansard, and Girl is played by Markéta Irglova, both musicians. Glenn Hansard was not really an actor. He was in one other movie, but primarily musician in a band called The Frames, which was popular, especially in Europe, before the movie came out. And the two of them also formed a project called The Swell Season. Both of these, I think the Swell Season was also formed before the movie. Both of them got way more popular after the movie came out. So the movie, as I mentioned, is about two musicians that write music together. It's a love story too. Both people are wrapped up in their individual situations. I won't say too much about it, but that's what it is. It was filmed on a crazy budget. They did things like use natural light. They filmed at their own apartments. Their friends were extras. They even filmed with long distance cameras, and extras in the shots didn't know that they were in the movie. I don't know if that's legal in Ireland, but that gives you a picture. It was filmed with about 100,000 euros, and it was a huge success. This movie grossed over $20 million worldwide, and the main song from it, called Falling Slowly, won Best Original Song at the Academy Awards that following year. So good for them. The movie is really great. It's beautiful. If this sounds interesting to you, two songwriters who meet on the street and they form a wonderful friendship, and there's a little bit of a love story. It's very sentimental. The lighting is actually, speaking of using natural light, is really nice in this movie. I feel like I can kind of tell, even though I probably don't know what I'm talking about regarding film, but it looks beautiful as well as sounds beautiful. My favorite scene in this movie is actually also one of my favorite scenes in a movie. It takes place in a recording studio. So at one point, these two scrape money together for studio time to record a demo for Guy, who wants to try to get his music career off the ground. And they haggle with the guy who runs the studio for the day rate, because they didn't have a lot of money. And the engineer who comes in on the day of recording seems totally bored, put out. These people don't seem to know what they're doing. They bring other band members in for the recording session to play the other instruments. His guitar has a huge hole in it. The drummer doesn't know what he's talking about. The engineer is just super bored. He's like reading a newspaper when they start playing. But as the song that they first play and record progresses, the engineer starts getting interested in it. Like he kind of pays more attention. He turns a knob or two. And this particular song, it starts slow and then it escalates. It gets really intense at the end. And by that point where it like crescendos, the engineer is all excited and he's like turning all the knobs and really just doing his job. That is my favorite song in the movie on this soundtrack. It's track 4, When Your Mind's Made Up. That song is in 5, the time signature. And when they start recording it, he tells all of the bandmates, okay, this is in 5, and he's like prepping them to play it. I think this was the first time that I started really paying attention to the time that different songs are in, even though I grew up playing music. I just never really cared about it. But the fact that this song is in 5, it sounded really interesting to me. It gave a really interesting flow. And now I pay attention to a lot of time that songs are in, especially if it's an interesting time that I can't quite follow at first. And I always ended up loving songs that were in 5 in particular. So that's just one little highlight for me. That scene, I couldn't find it on YouTube yesterday, which I was really surprised about. And I actually ended up paying the $3 or $4 to rent the movie so I could watch that scene because it's so good. Like I tear up in it. It's just wonderful. And then the band and the engineer, like they have a really great all-night recording session. It ends, the sun is coming up and he said at the end, let's do the car test where they play the recording in a car on shitty speakers to see if it sounds good there too. They end up on a beach. They're like running around with a Frisbee. They're on a high probably from having recorded this demo, and then he hands him the tape at the end. It's just really nice. So anyway, I really love this movie. I recommend it if it sounds interesting to you. The record itself is very simple and straightforward. So here's the back. We have the track listing. I actually love this like film style of putting the credits back here. This is a still from the movie, I think. The front is a like hero shot from the movie. And then the inside is also pretty simple. This is just a standard jacket. The inner sleeve has more stills from the movie. The music, by the way, is the two of them, guitar, piano. Simple, really pretty. And then you have a simple track listing here. It's a little ripped. And credits and thank yous here on the bottom. The record itself is black vinyl, side A, side B. That's all it needs, really. The record itself has a lot of noise on it, like a bit of noise. It crackles even between tracks. Some record collectors hate this. I love it. It's part of the experience for me. I wasn't really, going back to the style of music, looking forward to listening to this, honestly. Because it's like singer-songwriter vibes. I've never really been into that, but you know what? Good songwriting is good songwriting. And when I started thinking back to the track listing, I had a feeling I would love the experience of listening to it, and I did. It was great. I had a really great time last night thinking about it and writing about it and just hearing the whole thing from front to back. Side A is my favorite one. Falling Slowly. Track 1 is the one that won the Oscar. If You Want Me is a gorgeous song in minor key where Markéta Irglova is the main vocalist on it. It's so pretty, and the scene around that song is literally, the song is being written by her as she's singing it and doing something else. I won't talk too much about it because please just see the movie, but it's really, really great. That is tied with When Your Mind's Made Up for my favorite. When Your Mind's Made Up, track 4 is the one from that studio scene. I can't. I love the energy. I imagine that scene every time I hear it. So anyway, that's kind of it, guys. This is a very straightforward, short and sweet video. Simple record, as I said. It doesn't need more than that. It's a beautiful set of songs that are written very beautifully. And if you have seen the movie, I would recommend seeing it first before hearing the album. Then you will just always have both running in your mind while you listen to the soundtrack itself, I think. So that's it for April. That covers April and 12 Records 18 years later. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.